Bienvenidos, estamos en la Junta de Gobernadores del Fondo Monetario Internacional y el Banco Mundial y en el marco de estas reuniones se ha desarrollado un conversatorio sumamente interesante en el que ha participado, entre otras personas, el actor Sean Penn, los llamados los empresarios jóvenes como factores que impulsan el crecimiento sostenible. Otro de los invitados a participar de este conversatorio es Alan Blue. Él es cofundador de LinkedIn, una empresa que tiene 300 millones de usuarios, es decir, 10 veces la población del Perú. Así que, sin más retrasos, ¿cómo está, señor Alan Blue? Welcome to TV Perú. Well, one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is, how does LinkedIn contribute to this sustainable growth that you were talking about earlier?
So LinkedIn we've always intended it as a tool for business people to do the things they love and then to be great doing them. So we believe that LinkedIn is a way to build a strong network of relationships with people with whom you've worked, and then be able to help those people achieve their goals, and they can help you achieve yours. When you're actually working closely with other people, you can create great things. So you can start new companies, you can accelerate the success of an existing company, you can help someone make a career transition from one place to another, you can distribute your products to other customers, you can hire effectively for your organization. Basically, it's a way of bringing business people together to do more business with each other, to create more opportunities, and the more complex the economy, the more opportunities there are for everyone in that economy.
I know a lot of people who use LinkedIn and don't know how to use it. They have profiles in LinkedIn, but they don't know how to take the most advantage out of it. How do we get the most of it?
So I think one of the key components is, the first one is to be on LinkedIn. The second is that the core component, the thing which makes you successful on LinkedIn, is the relationships you have with other people. So the most important thing is surrounding yourself with your network, with people who you already know or you've already worked with in the past, the people who you trust and recommend to other people. Then, anytime you face any kind of business problem or question, LinkedIn can be a resource to help solve that problem. So if you're looking for a job, or if you're trying to make a decision inside your company, you can reach out to that group of people who are right around you, and they can help you solve that problem.
How do you think young entrepreneurs today can contribute to sustainable growth? How can they make a difference?
So, entrepreneurship is one of the tried and true engines for economic development. Every time someone starts a new company, they have the ability to generate new opportunities for commerce in the economy and to hire more people. Those people come in, they become more knowledgeable themselves, and even they can go out and start their own things. So as people become familiar with entrepreneurship, they get better at starting companies. They get better at contributing to the economy. They get better at leading within the business community. And those kind of people form the framework of a successful economy.
Do you think that today, a young person sitting at home thinking about the next company they want to design should consider sustainable energy consumption from the start, from the get-go?
So I think that it pays for every entrepreneur to think about the impact they have on the world that's around them. But I think that the most important thing in terms of choosing what you might work on has to do with what your passion is. What do you care about? Because being an entrepreneur, no matter how available the tools may be, is really hard. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of soldiering through very difficult times to be able to be successful. Because that's the case, you got to be working on something you really care about. The great thing is that if you're actually working on something, especially in the world of technology, you're almost certainly contributing to the solution of the problem around how do we build more environmentally friendly economies, rather than contributing to the problem. Because you're using information technology, which has an extremely low footprint in terms of the impact it has on the world. You're building scalable solutions. You're building solutions which help people stay local. which help give people information to help them make great choices. So you're almost certainly creating something which is only going to make the world a better place, just because technology tends to tend that way, or at least information technology does.
And what about entrepreneurs who failed the first time? I mean, in the conversatory, somebody said that today's idea of failure is changing, and that it's no longer a bad word. It's just something that's going to happen to you at some point in your life, and until your next win.
Yes.
Do you think that?
So I absolutely think that. Core to the way Silicon Valley, and that's where I'm based, core to the way we work there is to try things with the intent of learning very effectively from them. And very frequently that means we fail. So we actually go out knowing there's a high likelihood that it won't work, but the real challenge is, can you learn effectively from it? Because if you can try something and it doesn't work, but you learn, you can do it better the next time. And you can actually make that into how you run your business. Every successful business you see in Silicon Valley, from the ones you've never heard of right up to the ones that everyone's heard of, have used this same pattern of trying, failing. We say two things in Silicon Valley. We say fail fast, which means don't spend a lot of money in order to fail. Learn as quickly as you can. And the other one is that failure is feedback, not judgment. So failing is actually a way for you to become a better contributor, to be a better entrepreneur, and not a judgment of whether you're a good entrepreneur.
So if being an entrepreneur is basically such an easy thing because of access of technology, well, that's kind of the idea that it's going around. Today it's easy to be an entrepreneur because information is accessible. You can find things we don't know everywhere. Nobody's going to teach you how to be an entrepreneur. You got to find it yourself. Is that true? It's easy to find the information to be an entrepreneur?
It is easier. It's easier than it's ever been. And the tools for creating certain kinds of companies are very, very cheap, free or cheap. So whereas you might have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars creating a technology startup 10 years ago, you can now do it for $50,000 because the tools themselves have become cheap. But that doesn't mean being an entrepreneur is easy. It just means that some of the parts of being an entrepreneur are now cheap and easy. So you still need help. You still need smart people around you. You still need great advice. You still need to be able to talk to somebody and to bounce ideas off them. You need a mentor. You need all the things we've always needed to create great businesses, but a lot of the things that used to just be expensive are now cheap.
But how about it? Let me explain a little bit about the Peruvian scenario. We have a lot of entrepreneurs. Our economy, it has a big drive in small and middle businesses.
Right.
And most of them are self-financed or family-financed and family-owned businesses, but they can't make the next step into, for example, big corporations because of this technology gap. And there's a fear in Peru that this technology gap is going to push us further away from developing nations instead of helping us get closer.
So the technology gap is we're able to build a small and medium-sized business, but in order to get really big, we need to adopt new types of technology which we're just not familiar with, we don't have access to.
Or we need to communicate to more people and connect to more people in order for a company to become popular.
Yeah.
You know?
So, to my mind, the thing which makes Silicon Valley work, and it didn't always, but the thing that makes Silicon Valley work is there are so many people in Silicon Valley who have experienced so many different kinds of things. There's a gigantic diversity of experience and knowledge there. And whenever you build a company in Silicon Valley, you're always putting it together out of the parts of other companies. So they bring their own experiences to the table. So for instance, my background before I started in Silicon Valley was an entirely different industry, which had nothing to do with technology. But the perspective I brought was valuable. So in order to be able to build an entrepreneurial environment where companies grow fast, you need to have that entrepreneurial environment filled with people who've tried many things. And that just takes time to get to. So this is, I think, a role for the government to play, because the government can begin to concentrate ways to attract some of that knowledge here. But once you get that base of knowledge, you can grow very, very quickly.
Well, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that are aware of these difficulties, and they are going abroad to study MBAs because they want to learn how to be entrepreneurs, they want to breach this gap. Is that the way? Is an MBA gonna help us, you know?
I think MBAs are designed to train people to be executives in large firms, for the most part. There are some MBAs which focus on smaller organizations, but for the most part, you're preparing people to be executives at companies which are 1,000 people or more. That's probably not always a good match with what an entrepreneur needs to know. I still think the best way to become an entrepreneur is to be an entrepreneur.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bueno, estuvimos conversando con Alem Blue, el cofundador de LinkedIn, que tiene consejos muy sabios para los jóvenes empresarios y emprendedores de nuestro país para poder llegar al siguiente nivel. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos en esta entrevista.